Hey there, Cheesemeisters, and welcome back to the Peach Pod After Dark. I am Jeff, and yeah, well, I still jerk off manually. Joining me on the other end of the internet, my host.
I'm Leslie, and oh, Walter, I love you, but sooner or later you're gonna have to face the fact that you're a goddamn moron.
This movie is perfectly suited for someone who lives with someone named Walter.
Yes. Whew. And now I can see again.
Awesome. All right. This week, Cheesemeisters, we are doing the Big Lebowski. Yay.
Yay.
The 1998 greatest movie that has ever been made, masterpiece. Written and directed by the Coen brothers, starring Jeff Bridges, John Goodman, John Belushi.
Wow.
There's 2 Johns in a row. There's only one John. I'm fucked up.
You're not even the one drinking.
I know, I'm really excited though. Starring Jeff Bridges, John Goodman, Steve Buscemi, Julianne Moore, David Huddleston, Philip Seymour Hoffman. Ever heard of him? Tara Reid as Bunny Lebowski herself, and many, many others. Flea, Peter Stormare, David Thewlis, Dom Irrera as in the role of limo driver who can't complain. It's fucking great. We are watching this in conjunction with season 2, episode 25, Meeting Mr. Pony. And our spelling connection is I can't fucking talk this morning. This is a problem.
Me either.
Oh, this is going to be a mess, and it's going to be great. Our spelling connection this morning is Richard Gant. He plays the inspector in Meeting Mr. Pony, and he is also the cop who wouldn't hold out much hope for the Credence.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, of the 2 cops that come to take his statement about his missing briefcase with his work papers, business papers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Wouldn't hold out much hope for the tape deck or the Credence.
What a
So,
just
what's that?
just thinking, like, I have no idea how we picked this movie with Meeting Mr. Pony, other than we needed something so much lighter than that traumatizing episode.
I think it was that, and it was very obvious, like when we saw that guy, and I was like, "Oh fuck, that's the guy in the about." And also, Walter pulls a piece out on the lane. Like,
That's right.
Smokey does get a gun shoved in his face.
Yeah.
Even though he has emotional problems apart from pacifism.
Oh my god.
So, I love this movie. And this is now the second time you've seen it.
Yes.
And as previously discussed with Coen Brothers movies, but for me specifically, this one, my opinion evolves on these movies over time, and then they get better for me. And I didn't love Raising Arizona the first time I saw it. I thought it was pretty stupid.
Yeah.
It took about 4 or 5 viewings, and I was like, Jesus, this movie's great. It's so funny, the dialogue and all of these things, and these characters are so well drawn and crazy, and the circumstance, and this was the same way for me. The first time I saw it, I didn't think it was dumb. I just didn't get it. Like,
Yeah.
I thought a couple things were funny. Like, I thought, the scattering Donnie's ashes was funny. And that whole first conversation, what the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? Like, the way that those 3 guys are on top of each other in the conversation, and have seemingly, like, Walter has no patience for Donnie, but Donnie's barely paying attention.
I know.
And the dude is just like in his own head, but trying to deal with Walter, and it's all layered over the top of each other, and it's so funny. But I would say most of this movie I didn't get. So now this is your second viewing, and I know your first experience of it was also, this movie is fine.
Yeah. Well,
what was your second? viewing what?
I think it helped that this time around I was watching it out of choice and not because of who I was dating at the time. Like, I thought about it after watching this a second time. Do you know that scene in Barbie where uh all the men or all the Kens at some point are like mentioning The Godfather and like explaining it? I thought this is another one of those movies where dudes, no
Uh-huh.
pun intended, you know, want their girlfriends to watch this because it's the
Yes.
greatest movie in their mind. And maybe they're right. I will never know. I mean, I like it. I enjoyed it more, but unfortunately, a lot of shit has happened this week and my brain is broken. So I watched it and I was like, I'm not anywhere near to understanding this movie or the Coen brothers. But it's entertaining and maybe that's all it can be for me.
And that's totally fine. Um, it's just, for you, new shit has come to light.
Yes.
There's it's a very complex. Um, has it ever occurred to you? I mean, it just might not just be as simple as well. What in God's name are you blathering about?
No.
No, that's totally fair. And again, I don't think on the second viewing I got it. Like on
No.
the second viewing, I thought that's funnier than I thought it was. Like that was the extent of my takeaway.
Yeah.
Um,
I got that.
and yeah, and so I think that, and part of, I think it's, I wonder why that is with this movie, and their movies in particular. But I think there's something specific about this one that that makes the multiple viewings almost necessary in
Yeah.
order to get all of it. But before we dig super deep into that part of it, let's talk about what happens in the movie, I guess, for as much as that. So Wu and another guy, they break into the dude's house and pee on his carpet because they're looking for a different Jeffrey Lebowski, and because that's the dude. He's the dude. That's what you call him.
Yeah.
Not Lebowski. I'm not Lebowski. You're Lebowski.
Yeah.
So it's a mistaken identity screwball situation to start the movie, and the dude's ready to let it sit. He's just going to fuck it, go bowling.
Yeah.
Until Walter gets him all worked up about how the other Jeffrey Lebowski should be the one to pay for it, because the Chinaman is not the issue here. And
It's Asian American now.
that's right. Asian
American. Of course, he says it again.
Yeah, of course. Chinaman is not the issue. This is about unchecked aggression. Drawing a line in the sand. Across this line, it is. So then he goes and tries to get his rug replaced, to get the other Jeffrey Lebowski, the Big Lebowski, to pay for his rug. He's kicked out, but he steals the rug anyway.
Yeah. And
on his way out, meets Bunny Lebowski, a young trophy wife in the parlance of our times. And then he goes on about his business. He goes back to bowling again. He's done with it. The whole thing's over until he gets a call from Brandt because Bunny Lebowski has been kidnapped. And the dude is in a unique position to confirm or disconfirm the identity of the kidnappers because maybe Brandt thinks that the rug pissers did this. Well, dude, we just don't know, do we? And through a series of insane contrivances, the dude meets Maud Lebowski, the daughter of the Big Lebowski, and there's a whole thing with Walter's dirty undies.
Yeah.
And a ringer for a ringer, and the nihilist who never got the money, and the nihilist actually being Carl Hungus from Log Jammin'.
Mm.
Um, and the dude figures that it drinks a lot of White Russians and figures out that she kidnapped herself and the Big Lebowski kept the money. And have I done it? Have I described the plot of this movie as coherently as it felt to you the first 2 times you watched it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think the plot of this movie, it's important, but it doesn't make any difference.
No.
Like, it's so well put together, and all of the pieces click into place, and at the end, the solution to the mystery is satisfying, and that it explains everything that you just watched, like all of the blather you just saw you get now. At least, like, as a story. I get it. She kidnapped herself. I don't know why this is an emergency.
Yeah.
Shomer Shabbos. So I think this is the key to mysteries and detective stories.
Yes.
For me, anyway, is that the specifics of the story, the plot, the whodunit doesn't matter. Like, there are any number of solutions to any number of mysteries, right? By the end of the story, they give you who it was, and include, there's 3 different endings. Could have been this, could have been this, could have been this. It doesn't really matter. What matters is the characters and the interactions and the world that gets built around this mystery.
Mm-hmm.
And whether those things are entertaining and whether those things bring you back. And that's, I think, like, you understanding what happened in the story at the end of it, when you watch it the second time, if you remember that that's what happened, you now get to spend more time in the interactions.
Which I end up caring so much more about because, yes, the mystery is the unifying thing, and yet it's so much more entertaining to watch. I mean, the guys bowling, and their interaction with each other, their banter. And then just the hilarity on top of that is also seeing more and more people pester this poor, nondescript man into, like, helping them. And he's like, I have nothing to do with this. I just want to bowl, live my life. I just wanted my rug to be clean.
That's right.
The dude just wanted his
rug back. That's right. Yeah. No, all of this, the dude just keeps getting pulled deeper and deeper into this thing that he doesn't even care about, really. Except for the only thing he cares about is her life is in your hands, dude. Like, that, it's that thing.
Yeah.
That sits with him. Everything else, the dude basically just accepts whatever comes his way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and he sort of accepts the information. Like, in a standard mystery, what you get is the detective going person to person, learning a little bit about, the victim or the crime or this suspect, or until at the end he's able to piece it all together by the conversations that he's had.
Yeah.
And that's what happens in this one, but the audience doesn't realize it because the dude doesn't realize it either. Like, he's just taking everything at face value that he's presented.
Yeah.
And it all just kind of swirls around in his head a little bit until at the end, what clicks is that he was right from the start. Because it was his idea. Eventually, he tells Walter she probably kidnapped herself.
Yeah.
And then every interaction he has with the nihilists, with the Big Lebowski, with Jackie Treehorn, with Larry Sellers, and Pilar, and Arthur Digby Sellers, not exactly a lightweight, fucking in an iron lung. Like, that whole scene.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I think they just wanted to put a dude in an iron lung. Like, I really,
You know,
that's what's going on now.
so how can we make this interaction even weirder?
Yep.
Iron
Yep.
Lung.
Larry's not going to talk. Iron Lung. Um,
You're breaking your father's heart, Larry.
That's right. Is this your homework, Larry? And so we don't have any idea that he's getting any closer
No.
to solving this mystery until at the end, like Maud says the thing that makes it all make sense to him. But I think we've already started doing it, but I think that this whole thing comes down to two things. One, it's what the stranger tells you in the voiceover, that the dude is the man for his particular time and place. And even if he's a lazy man, and the dude is most certainly that, quite possibly the laziest in Los Angeles County, putting him high in the running for laziest worldwide. The dude is lazy. He's not going to put any thought into this. He's not going to put any effort into this. And what it takes for him to solve this mystery is non-stop repetition.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the piece of this movie that I think you don't get until you've seen it 3 or 4 times. How often everyone in the movie is repeating things that other people said.
Yeah, which you sent me, a document noting those things, but then as I'm thinking through the movie again, like, I mean, you hear Walter say the same shit over and over again.
Yes. So Walter is a very specific repeater. Walter basically only repeats himself. Everyone else in the movie repeats other people. Mm-hmm. Even sometimes other people that they haven't spoken to. But they're saying the same things. And Walter, mark it 0. Mark it 0. The dog has papers. Over the line! He says it like 3 times. Shomer Shabbos, he says like 5 times.
Donnie.
That's right, Donnie, you're out of your element. Dude, shut the fuck up, Donnie. Right? Is this your homework, Larry? Is this your homework, Larry? Yeah. This is what happens, Larry. This is what happens, Larry, when you fuck a stranger in the ass. This is what happens when you fuck a stranger in the ass. This is what happens, Larry. This is what happened. You're killing your father, Larry, and we know it's your homework. Like, Walter repeats himself. 8-year-olds. He says 8-year-olds 2 or 3 times. He calls them amateurs. In the car, they're fucking amateurs when the dude's on the phone. And then in the diner, when they talk about clipping, you want a toe? I can get you a toe by 3 o'clock with toenail polish.
With toenail polish.
Fuck it, dude. Let's go bowling. He says that multiple times. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Am I wrong? No, Walter, you're not wrong. You're just an asshole. Like, Walter is constantly repeating himself. They're going to kill that poor woman. Like, that's the one time he's repeating the dude. But it's just like to make fun of the dude.
Kill that poor woman.
And he repeats himself in his assertion that she kidnapped herself. Like, Walter is consistent with that repetition. No, dude, you said it yourself. She kidnapped herself. And Maud doesn't believe it. This proverbial fornicator is taking this compulsive fornicator is taking my father for the proverbial ride. Like, she knows that Maud hasn't been kidnapped. Uli Kunkel could not do this. But it's not just Walter repeating himself. The dude and Walter both say that the rug really tied the room together. The first lines in the movie that aren't spoken by the stranger are spoken by George Bush on the TV screen. I don't know if you even noticed it.
I did.
Where he's given his speech about Iraq and Kuwait, and he says, "This aggression will not stand." And then when the dude goes to talk to the Big Lebowski, he tells him, "This aggression will not stand, man." The Big Lebowski says to the dude multiple times, I'll say it again. You told Brandt told me. I know what happened. Yes. Like, the Big Lebowski is repeating himself. The dude is constantly telling people to call him the dude. Like, he has to repeat who he is. He has to repeat his name until the end at the funeral home where he just gives up.
Yeah.
Like the guy calls him Jeffrey Lebowski, and he's like, actually, like he's done.
Yeah.
Um, in the parlance of our times, Maud says that, and then the dude repeats it back to the Big Lebowski, completely out of context. Like it makes no sense how he says it. No funny stuff is in the ransom note. The nihilists say it to the dude while he's in the tub with the marmot.
Mm-hmm.
And the dude says it when he's passing out at Jackie Treehorn. No funny stuff, Jackie. I will not abide another toe is something that the Big Lebowski says to the dude in the car, and at the end, the dude abides.
The dude abides.
Johnson. Maud talks about his dick or his rod or his Johnson.
Yeah.
And the dude repeats it to him. And then the nihilists say, well, cut off your Johnson. And then the dude tells Donnie, I don't need your fucking sympathy. I need my Johnson. What do you need that for? The Big Lebowski says Goldbrickers, and the chief of police of Malibu calls the dude a Goldbricker.
Mm-hmm.
Walter and the Jesus talk about fucking people in the ass. The word deadbeats is used multiple times. Woo, when he's peeing on the carpet, quotes John Wilkes Booth.
Wow.
Which is the greatest, like, taking sic semper tyrannis, ever thus to tyrants, and making it ever thus to deadbeats while he pees on this carpet is so funny.
Yeah.
And real fucking weird. But then the Big Lebowski calls the dude a deadbeat. Where's the money, Lebowski? The guy who's not Woo says it to the dude, and the dude says it to the Big Lebowski at the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Donnie says, I am the walrus like 5 times. Walter and Donnie, what the fuck are you talking about? Even the thing where he brings up the Little Lebowski Urban Achievers to Maud, and she says, yes, the Little Lebowski Urban Achievers, and proud we are of all of them. Like, even her, that's something she's said a million times. You can tell by the tone of her voice. Like, that's the line about the Urban Achievers. The dude asks for a White Russian so many times. The line about the Chinaman that dude says and Walter says and the Big Lebowski says. Brant repeats himself. The necessary means. What a wonderful woman. We're all very fond of her. That had not occurred to us, dude. Like, these are all Market 8. Smokey says it many, many times.
Yeah.
We, the nihilists, want to know why there's we involved. The dude, what the fuck, we, Walter? The Big Lebowski yells at him, we, like, instead of I took the money, Maud tells the dude multiple times about the doctor, he's a good man and thorough.
Yeah.
Like, it's nonstop.
Yeah.
But you don't notice it. Like, you might notice a couple of times, but like, you don't notice it until you've seen it 40 times that all of these things are happening and being repeated.
Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting to me because I think it's foundational to the movie. Like, I think it's not just a joke.
Repetition exercises are done a lot. So.
That's true. That's very true. And why is that? Like,
if you have to repeat something, the thing you're supposed to ask yourself is like, why am I repeating this? Well, someone's clearly not hearing it. Okay, well, then you need to try a different tactic. And so I guess a lot of these characters aren't feeling heard. I mean, Walter's certainly not feeling heard. He yells, he repeats the most.
Yes, he does. But I don't think that's about the characters not being heard so much, it's similar, as it is about the dude not hearing them.
Okay.
One of my favorite Simpsons episodes is The Lemon of Troy. It's where the people from Shelbyville steal their lemon tree, and they have to go steal it back. It's the whole thing, but
Wow.
it's all about town pride. And Marge tells Bart, that that tree is a part of us all, a part of us all, a part of us all. I'm sorry I repeated myself, but sometimes it helps to say it 3 times. And then later in the episode, Bart hears her voice in his head.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, the dude is not a detective who grabs a piece of information and puts it together with this piece of information and comes up with the answer. He is someone who has to be told over and over and over and over and over again, because he's a very lazy man. And all these little bits and pieces being repeated constantly for him,
Mm-hmm.
it takes all of that for him to like click at the end. When Maud repeats herself, I keep telling you, Daddy doesn't have any money. It's all the foundation's money. Like, that has to be told to him more than once. Everything, the dude has to take it in, filter it through the steady drug regimen he's on before it sinks in. But really, he was right the whole time. He knew from the start she kidnapped herself. And
I don't think he's
Walter,
the only one. I mean, he might be the only one in this who needs to be told things repeatedly, but as you're saying this, I'm thinking this is so relevant to today because no one listens anymore. And like,
right?
I know for me, I mean, whenever I meet new people, I always tell them like, you're gonna have to tell me your name again because I'm just gonna like black out from excitement or anxiety. One of the two. Like,
Right.
you know, and I've had moments lately where I'm just like, I'm so sorry. I didn't register what you said. Can you repeat that?
Yes. Yeah. We are all the dude.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
which makes me wonder, like, and again, I'm glad the movie didn't go this route of trying to figure out, because I think if we did the Big Lebowski today, they're going to be like, well, why is the dude this way? And then we're going to learn all this trauma and all this other stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of glad they didn't.
yeah.
I would like to think back to a time when lazy was simply lazy, and maybe it was just, you know,
Mhm.
a delightful party trick or some delightful quirk about someone,
Mhm.
instead of like, oh my god, I feel like such a lazy person, and like, no, it's this whole list of stuff happening.
Right. I should be doing something different than what I'm doing right now.
Uh-huh.
Because this is clearly the wrong thing. I feel that quite a bit in the evenings when I'm just watching TV or something. Like, I don't feel like I'm not being productive enough right now. Like, and so like I choose aggressively unproductive things to watch, like 1998 wrestling.
Nice.
Like, I'll put on, like, I'm slowly working my way through the Attitude Era, watching WWE and WCW like in conjunction, and like, keeping the same weeks. Like, I'll watch this week's Raw and this week's Nitro, and there's the pay-per-view, and it is actively disengaging, like,
which we need.
It's good. I'm constantly reminding myself it's okay. Like, you don't have to be productive at every moment of the day. I'm like, what can I be doing right now for the Peach Pod? What can I be doing to make, this, like, to get this to more people? Like, we were supposed to record this. Here's behind the scenes, everybody.
Yeah.
We were supposed to record this midweek, and midweek just got fucked. Like, that just didn't happen.
Yeah.
So like, we're technically like, we didn't record all week, which feels weird to me. And now we're a little bit behind, but it's actually kind of perfect in like the recording of things. It's going to work out very, very well. I'm happy about it.
Yeah.
But like, when we got ready to record today, I was so fucking amped because I hadn't done it all week. And I'm like, I just want to do the Peach Pod.
No, if it could just be this, that would be great. Everything else that kind of goes with it is really stressful. It'll be worth it, but
Yeah. But it's like, So like, what can I be doing in that in between when we're not recording, when we're not doing this thing that I'm so fucking excited to do all the time? What can I be doing to be more productive about it?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Which is such a trap. Like, it doesn't lead you anyplace good. It just gets you locked where you are.
Uh-huh.
And the dude does not do that.
And it's amazing. We should
Yeah.
all learn
Like,
from the dude.
well, people have. There's a whole church of dudism.
Oh my God. Of course
Yeah,
there is.
there is. Because there's a lot of dudes who watched this and saw the platonic ideal of life, which is like, I can wear a bathrobe to go buy milk from the Ralphs and then just go bowling. And like, I mean, this stupefying shit happened to me. But at the end, he's just back bowling again.
Yeah.
And even though there's a little Lebowski on the way, that doesn't even have anything to do with the dude. He's out of that. He's past that. Like, he's not required to be a part of anything that Maude does with the next Jeffrey Lebowski.
Oh my God.
Because the dude abides. Like, he accepts. He takes whatever this is. Do you want to have some adventures in intimacy?
Of course. We don't get as many as as many as the Doors.
No.
We definitely have another case of, are these boobs necessary? Which is a simple question to ask. Bear with me, folks, because I mean, obviously, when we first meet Maude and she's, you know, nude and everything, like, this is to show she is an eccentric, she is an artist, and I mean,
my work has been described as very vaginal. That makes some men uncomfortable, Jeffrey. They don't even like to say the word vagina.
I loved that so much. Brief anecdote. I was in a show once where there were, like, I had to play multiple people, and in one of the scenes, I don't remember the whole basis of it. I just remember at some point I had like puns about women's bodies, and like I think cervix was said at some point, and someone in the audience went ugh, and I, because it was that kind of venue, I looked out and let them know I was offended, and I just got into a deep squat and said cervix again, because like, you came from one.
That's right.
You disgusted.
Nope. That's funny.
I have to see you all grab your junk on the street. Like, you can hear me say cervix and vagina.
And will easily refer to his dick or his rod or his Johnson.
So yeah, there's like weird amount of nude women in this, just like on a trampoline, having a great time. You know, here was another thing I thought of, because even though we do see Julianne Moore nude, it's brief, and it's kind of, again, similar to the Doors. You have the one who's being, I would say, paid and seen the most of the women in this.
So you were talking about the random boobs and how Jackie Treehorn treats objects like women, man.
Exactly, which, you know, way to go. You told us that part of the story. I think what bothers me about it, which bother is even a strong word in this, but it's just, you have women who are likely credited very low in the credits and not being compensated proportionately to, you know, what they're showing on screen. And then you've got Julianne Moore, who, granted, is probably not being paid equal to her male counterparts at that time, and is also showing more, and has a bigger role than these extras. And she's being allowed more agency than they are. I mean, because in the post-coital scene, she's covered up in a blanket.
Right.
You know, she does all of her post-coital her post-coital fertility increasing exercises under a blanket.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I get it. but also let's assume no gender gap in pay, right?
Sure.
Let's just assume that that's a thing that exists. It doesn't, but let's assume it exists.
Sure.
She's not going to get paid more than Jeff Bridges, right?
No.
She's not the lead of the movie, and the two bounty ladies don't have any lines, like so like they're not going to get paid as much as anybody. Like they're probably getting paid slightly more than like the guys running around with like flaming torches or whatever on the beach. Like they're barely above
I hope so.
Yeah, like they're certainly more prominently, displayed. But so I guess what I'm wondering is like, what's fair market value for showing a tit? Because it's like, you're saying like they're probably not compensated well enough for whatever this is. Like what is like, should being third on the call sheet but naked equal second on the call sheet?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
If you're having to show your whole body, yeah.
But even if it's just once, and it's like it's for a really good story reason, like the whole point of her being naked is that's how she creates her very feminine art. Like this is who she is, and not for nothing, but everything about Maude is an affectation. Like she is putting on a fucking show all of the time, and it's a super shortcut to who this character is. You know what I mean?
My reasoning is I have no idea how. I mean, nowadays you can request a closed set, which limits the amount of people. But at the same time, like, I have no idea what's going to happen the day of. I have no idea who's going to say something stupid or not. Sure. And, I don't want to assume that, but I am a positive realist. Like,
right.
These things happen. And there are power dynamics, which the power dynamics of it all are what bother me more for the extras, because like they're thinking, well, if I just do all this willy-nilly, it's going to mean that I get a bigger role for next time, or they'll remember me. They won't remember your face.
Maybe. I mean, I think you get into not you, but people get into a dangerous place when we start to assume the motives of others. Like we don't know what those actresses wanted or were hoping for. Like it's possible that they just were like, oh, this will be a fun thing to do today.
Because if they were adult film actors, then that's great. Like, and that's what I would have done in that scenario. I probably would have just gone with like, okay, well, we're doing a scene. Like, we're in scenes that are about the adult film industry. Like, I would rather just get actors who are from that industry, know what it's about, and like, hey, this is going to be a really simple day for you. Like, we just need you naked. You don't actually have to do anything other than that. Like, you get to bounce on a trampoline.
Right.
Cool.
Trampoline.
Yeah. So you're right. Like, we can't assume motives or anything like that, and I certainly don't want to come across like I'm shaming people for making the choices they do. Like, your body is yours, but I just I want to hope that these people made decisions that they felt they could make and were honest to what they wanted at the time. So
and I think that like I think that's sort of what is at the heart of it, right? For you is that you're cool with all of this as long as they're cool with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what you want. That's why you want an IC involved.
Yes.
To make sure that everyone's cool with it.
The IC is the middleman, because when a director who is basically the parent asks the actor who's basically the child, or the person being hired, when they ask him, hey, are you comfortable with this? What do you think they're going to do? It's why when I come into the room as the IC and I'm asking actors, I don't just ask them like, hey, are you comfortable with this? I ask them, what are you comfortable with? These things have been outlined by the director. how do you want to go about doing this? Like the director says they would like the blanket to be ripped off here, but what do you want seen or not seen?
Right.
You know, I have them do like a body check for themselves. Like, hey, we're going to take a minute. I want you to really go through and think about like, because everyone thinks it comes down to, oh, I've had something bad happen to me. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. But
Right.
for example, and I'm sure I've said this before, I don't like people touching my face. It's a germ thing. All I can think about are your oils clogging my pores. I don't want that. They're clogged enough already. Like, you could have an injury, you know? So like if someone has to touch your shoulder or like grab you by the arm or something, like you could have an old injury and you just don't want it to be touched because it could flare up again or something. Okay. Some people don't want their hair being touched. Like there are a multitude of reasons for why you do or don't want something to happen. Enter me or other intimacy coordinators. Like it's just to be that middleman because a director shouldn't have to do everything.
Right.
They have to be Spider-Man trying to keep the train from going off the track with a million webs.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, and I think that like you know that historically that role didn't exist. The IC role.
It wasn't labeled. Someone could have been doing it, but we haven't had, like you said, we haven't had the title historically.
Right. So you're like, you come at like all of these things from a position of I bet they didn't talk about this.
Yeah.
You know, but it is possible that they did.
That's true.
Right. So it's like, I think it's highly likely that Julianne Moore was 100% on board with what was going on here because she got this character and really understood what the story needed. And one, it's funny, like being dressed up in that thing is so silly. And the paintbrushes. Like I think that a number of conversations were had with Julianne Moore. So like I look at that and I go, that's what was intended here, and everybody's okay with it. I also think there were very few conversations had with the bikini bouncing or the trampoline bouncing ladies. And that's probably okay too, because of sort of the nature of the role. You know, it would have been better, obviously, to have someone in that position to have those conversations. But my guess is it was described as topless lady on a trampoline. Like
as long as it was described, as long as they got there or knew what was going to happen beforehand, like, you know, we'll never know. I know I'm projecting people. Like, I've been through hell this week. Give me a break.
It's been a rough week.
It's been a rough life.
It's all right. Just abide.
I don't abide with any of this shit happening. It's not okay.
The dude did. He ended up in a pretty okay situation at the end. I mean, I hated to see Donnie go, but
I know. I forgot how Donnie went, but I knew he went, and it was disappointing. But
yeah, it is sad.
The end of innocence,
yeah, a little bit. And I want to talk about that a little bit in what else time.
Yeah.
So Needle Drop Forest, I love the music in this. The Man in Me by Bob Dylan is a great choice, and thematically feels linked to one of the things going on in this story, because there's the scene in by the fireplace at the Big Lebowski's place where he tells the dude that Bunny's been kidnapped.
Yeah.
And total aside, but that t-shirt that the dude is wearing with the Japanese baseball player on it.
Oh, okay. I didn't.
Yeah. It. Right. Because you haven't seen this movie 1,000 times. That shirt was Jeff Bridges' shirt. He wears it in The Fisher King.
Oh.
Yeah, you can see it in the Fisher King, and he put it back on for the dude in this scene. But the strong men also cry scene,
Mm-hmm.
like that whole thing starts out with the Big Lebowski asking the dude what makes a man,
Mm.
you know, and he says this whole thing about whatever he says, and the dude is like, sure, that and a set of testicles,
Yeah.
and so it's like it's about manhood, and then
Mm-hmm.
Nihilus threatened to cut off his Johnson, right? And so at the end, we've got the dude who is facing the possibility of not being a man because they cut off his Johnson and not doing all those other things that the Big Lebowski said that he should have been doing to be a man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so the man in me will do almost any task. And as for compensation, there is little he would ask. I mean, that, you know, it takes a woman like your kind to bring out the man in me. So it's an interesting song choice, just from standpoint. But you know, then they drop Stuck in the Middle with You, and the I think it's Los Lobos doing that version of Hotel California in Spanish when
Okay.
dancing, which is such a great needle drop when he starts to dance after he gets the strike.
Yeah.
The Hotel California. Like all of the music is so well chosen in this movie, in almost like a Tarantino way, where like you can't imagine them choosing a different song for this. It just fits exactly the mood of the movie.
Yeah, very much so.
So super thumbs up for the needle drops in this thing. So what else time? What do you got for what else? I got a couple things.
I was curious about the history of White Russians.
Oh, okay. Tell me.
Well, interestingly enough, the Black Russian came first.
Interesting.
I know, which that was my drink for a while, as I was telling you, because I just, I don't do dairy. But today I had almond milk, so I did it.
Nice.
But yeah, so White Russians were a drink that, as I was thinking beforehand, let me backtrack a little, because in the 50s and 60s, a lot of like cream-based drinks were a thing. Again, the food trends of that time are really interesting to me. Like, obviously, we were feeling really lush and ample after, Great Depression, 2 World Wars, so eating everything, but also eating like the worst stuff for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, anyway.
Jello, but calling it salad.
Yes!
Yeah,
like
Jello salad's fucking weird.
White bread.
Uh-huh. TV dinners.
Whole milk. Like the most fattening and sugary of things, but not healthy fat, you know? So it makes sense why there were like creams in drinks. You have like grasshopper. I think it's skipping my mind right now, but anyway. So yeah, White Russians became a thing when a bartender in Belgium in the 1960s like made a drink for the U.S. ambassador there, or of Luxembourg. And he took a Black Russian but added cream to it, and it became a big deal in the 60s.
That's funny, because I would think that the Black Russian is what you drink only when you don't have cream. Like when you've run out of cream, well, I'll just mix the Kahlua and vodka together.
Well, apparently vodka wasn't a popular drink at the time, because people thought it just tasted like nothing, and then they realized, oh, you can add in this fairly tasteless liquor to a beverage and turn it up a notch,
boost it.
Boost it. And so at the same time we got Moscow Mules in history.
Interesting. And Moscow Mules only became popular here like 3-4 years ago. Like it's pretty new.
And that's what's too. Yeah, like these drinks, the Moscow Mule and the White Russian, like kind of, were born in the 60s, and yet had a rebirth, uh, the White Russian, because of this movie, and
Yep.
then Moscow Mules. I don't know, maybe because ginger has become like a trendy flavor, and you can
Yeah,
like
I don't know.
lie to yourself that there are healthy elements to the drink. Like I
You're
did.
drinking it out of a penny, for God's sake. It must be healthy.
It's not absinthe.
It's weird. Yeah, I don't. The Moscow Mule, that one, I don't get it. It's fine.
It's not for me.
Yeah, but the White Russian, I went as the dude multiple Halloweens
Of course you did.
because it's a super easy costume to do.
Yes.
And when you have facial hair, you just like get rid of anything that's not the mustache and put on a wig and a bathrobe, and you're real good. And then you just drink White Russians all night, and you can't have a bad evening. Like, that's a great way to go. So yeah, I was the dude multiple times, and there was one Halloween party where I was the dude, and we ran through the cream, so we switched to Black Russians, and then we ran through the vodka, and Adam switched to just Kahlua.
Oh my god.
It was a bad choice. So shouts to Adam's Kahlua Halloween.
Oh no.
Yeah. But yeah, no, we just kept running out. Like, one ingredient at a time would disappear, and then all you're left with is just a bottle of Kahlua.
Yep.
And I ain't gonna get anybody anywhere good. Yeah, I love me a White Russian. But, cream is not great for me either. So
No.
it's a younger man's drink, I think. A duder man's drink. So one thing I had for What Else Time is the role of Walter and Donnie in this.
Mm-hmm.
And because so there's this thing with detective stories a lot of times where the detective will have some kind of a sidekick, right? Holmes and Watson,
Nancy Drew and George Fane and Bess Marvin.
Yeah, like there's someone that they can bounce stuff off of to help solve the mystery. And I sent you that link. Did you check out that Father Knox's 10 Commandments of Mysteries?
I did.
So it's something I just became aware of today. I'd never heard of this thing before in my life. And it was this priest and mystery writer, and I don't even know when it was. It was a long time ago, in the 1920s maybe. And he wrote out these 10 Commandments of Mysteries, and I'm trying to find the one that I had that was just a list of them.
Yeah, I read that he was in some secret society with Agatha Christie, and
Oh yeah, I saw that too.
yeah.
So, but basically, they're like the 10 Commandments of detective fiction, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but there's a couple of them that I thought were interesting. One, no Chinaman must figure in the story.
Yeah, what a random commandment.
It's really strange, but I also feel like that was maybe why they used the word Chinaman in this.
Probably.
And it was a direct reference to this, and the guy's name is Ronald Knox, and David Thewlis's character, who just sits there and giggles in the most amazing way in Maud's apartment.
Yes.
His name is Knox Harrington, and so I feel like there's references to this thing. But then, like, number 9 on this list is the stupid friend of the detective, the Watson, must not conceal any thoughts which pass through their minds. His intelligence must be slightly, but very slightly, below that of the average reader.
I know, that killed me.
But is that not Walter and Donnie?
Absolutely.
Like, neither one of them filters their thoughts.
No.
They're just saying stuff. And Walter is saying it fucking over and over and over again because he just thinks it. Even, I don't see any connection to Vietnam here, Walter. Well, there's not a literal connection.
Yeah.
But, like, they're the stupider friend here. But instead of just one stupider friend, you've got two that are a little bit like the angel and devil, on the dude's shoulders, except for they're not playing good and evil. They're playing barely paying attention and hyper aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that like that's two sides of the dude's personality. Like he's so not Walter. He's very much Donnie.
Yeah.
But he's willing to listen. And Walter's right. Like through much of the movie.
Yeah.
He's an asshole, like pulls a gun on Smokey. He hand me the Uzi, I'm not rolling out of here naked.
Yeah.
Like he's got this, it's a Swiss fucking watch if I understand it correctly, this plan of yours to grab one of them and beat it out of them. But he's right about the fundamentals. Like he's right that that's not her toe. There's nothing about it that even says it's her toe. You want a toe? I can get you a toe by 3:00 today. You don't
Yeah.
He's right that she kidnapped herself. He's right that they aren't going to do shit. Like, Walter just keeps saying correct things to the dude. And sometimes he's just saying things back to the dude that the dude said to himself to point out where the dude is, like, where his thinking is correct in that, like, she kidnapped herself, or where his thinking is ridiculous. They're going to kill that poor woman.
Yeah.
How did that go? It went all right. The dude's car got a little dinged up. That's the funniest description of anything that happens in this movie is when Donnie asks how it went and the dude's car got beat to shit or whatever it was that happened at that point in time with the dude's car. But listening to those two voices, even though he ignores Donnie the entire movie, like, and that's another thing you don't pick up until you've seen it 70 times, is that the only time he ever speaks to Donnie is when he's walking home.
Mm-hmm.
Like he literally ignores everything else Donnie says, doesn't respond to any of it. That and then I don't need your sympathy, I need my fucking Johnson.
Yeah.
Like those are the only two times he talks to Donnie, and because Donnie's barely paying attention. Like,
yep.
Were you listening to the dude's story, Don? I was bowling.
Yeah.
Or the world does not stop and start at your convenience, you miserable piece of shit. You're like a child who wandered in the middle of a movie.
Yep.
And but the dude needs that because that's the dude abiding. Like that's the part of his nature that helps him navigate this stuff and stay who he is. And even Donnie rubs off on Walter in some ways because Walter's just like, well, let's just go bowling. It's fine.
Yeah.
I was all worked up about this a minute ago, but fuck it, dude. Let's go bowling. And they just make for a fantastic chorus in his head.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree with that.
So I don't know. Their relationship is what pulled me into the movie.
Absolutely. Yeah. Those scenes are the best.
Because they're so tightly written and performed. I mean, it's just that level of crosstalk done that proficiently.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Swiss fucking watch. Like the fact that those scenes all work so perfectly.
Yeah.
It's unreal. Like how good you have to be to make that shit happen.
A lot of rehearsal.
Yeah, a lot of rehearsal and really, really good dialogue.
Yeah, and good chemistry. Like people think chemistry has to be, just for the intimate moments, but like, no, if you're playing friends, you need to build chemistry.
Yeah, definitely. All right, defining role. Is this Jeff Bridges' defining role?
I feel like this is definitely his defining role.
Jeff Bridges has decided to basically be the dude in his personal life at this point. So, nice. Yes, I think in a career filled with wonderful performances, Jeff Bridges is the fucking dude. Like he always will be.
Not the first thing I saw him in, but still probably most defining.
Yeah. What about John Goodman?
I think he's got other more defining roles.
It's close though. Like,
Yeah, it's
I mean, Walter's real. I mean, this is more than uh, Gale and Neville Snokes. You know,
yeah,
like, he's much more like thought of as Walter. I think, and it's personal because I wasn't a Roseanne fan, and I love this movie. I think this is more, even though he played Dan Connor for like 20 years.
yeah.
I think he's it for me. He's way more Walter Sobchak than he is anything else.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I didn't think this was his defining role, but now I have no idea what his defining role would be to me.
Right,
Um,
right. Yeah.
so he's just one of those guys I saw in stuff, you know? Like there's John Goodman.
Yeah. Is this Buscemi's defining role?
No, but I don't know what exactly it would be. Like it could
Mm-hmm.
be Empire for people.
It could.
Not Empire. Is that? No, Boardwalk Empire. That's what it was.
Boardwalk Empire. I thought you were just shorthanding it.
No, that would be wrong because that's a different show.
It is a different show. Yeah. Um, I don't know. This might be it for me for Buscemi. He might be Donnie always.
Hmm.
Theodore Donald Karamazov, who loved bowling. And in accordance with what we think his last wishes may well have been. Uh,
Yeah.
funny. I don't think this is Julianne Moore's defining role.
No, she's done so much since then. Like,
Yeah. But she is so distinct in this that like
yeah,
that voice, like I know that that's not how she talks or laughs, but I want her to laugh like when she answers the phone about the Biennale.
yeah,
Um, that, by the way, that shot of the dude standing there looking at Knox Harrington while they both laugh and holding the Autobahn record is the funniest visual in the whole movie for me. Just the way he's looking at the two of these lunatics,
yeah,
and just like it's almost the first and only time in the movie he's flummoxed.
yeah,
You know, all this crazy shit is happening around him, and the only thing that disturbs him is these two people.
yeah.
I kind of think that this is David Huddleston's defining role. I think he is the Big Lebowski.
Absolutely.
You know,
Although we saw him in the Muppets.
yeah, but this is
No, but this is more defining.
this is it. It's not Philip Seymour Hoffman's defining role, but when I think of him, I think of Brandt in the top 2 or 3 things I think of.
I think of Almost Famous.
Sure. Yeah, I mean I mean that's the crazy thing about this is that all of the people in this movie are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and have very storied and varied careers.
Yes.
And still, even if it's not their like number one apex defining moment, it's real close for all of them.
Yeah.
And this is a movie that did not do well. You know,
Huh.
like it was just you know it was a movie that came out and kind of went away, and no one like it was very much a VHS DVD, you know, stoned in your dorm room kind of growth
Yeah.
with this movie. But man, it's seminal for all of these folks. You know, Tara Reid to me is more Bunny Lebowski than she is Girl from American Pie.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
Yeah, like I think this is Tara Reid's defining role. Like it's, I don't know. This is the first one we've done since we started thinking about this, where the answer is kind of like almost everybody. Like
Yeah.
it's pretty crazy.
It happened
And
at
then
some point.
oh yeah, for sure. So the last thing, we didn't talk about the dude's car.
Should we
And
have?
yeah, because the dude's car gets more and more destroyed until it's literally set on fire at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Like it it gets stolen and slept in by a vagrant, shoved up against an embankment. The side view mirror's been knocked off. The guy with the crowbar takes out all of the glass, and they still stop in and out because those are good burgers, Walter.
Yeah.
Then he crashes it head first into into a dumpster in the funniest car crash maybe ever. Like the one from Sideways where they hit the tree is really funny too.
Okay.
Uh, but he hits that dumpster so hard that everything jumps up in the air, and then it gets caught on fire. It gets set aflame at the end of the movie. Well, they did it. Killed my fucking car. No, I think the destruction of the dude's car is it might be like and the destruction of his apartment that happens along the same lines. Like his apartment gets trashed through the course of this, as does his car. And he loses Donnie. Like the dude is stripped away of many, many comforts through the course of this movie, in upsetting and hilarious ways. So yeah, no, I think the dude's car, it's worth talking about just at least a little bit.
All right.
But the thing I wanted to bring up is Ralph's, which is where the movie begins and kind of where the movie ends.
Okay.
Because when we meet the dude, he's buying groceries, he's buying creamer. And then at the end, they go to Ralph's to get the coffee can to put Donnie's ashes in.
Yeah.
Which is why at my wedding, Adam brought us his gift, which was dirt in a Ralph's can with a gift card stuck in it.
Oh my God. That's great.
And it's one of those like, this is for both of you, but the Ralph's can is for Jeff. Like the presentation it has an audience of one. And Laura is like, no, I get it. Doesn't give a shit. To me, I love it. It's one of the greatest things ever. Because he was in California and saw Ralph's and said, well, now I know what I need to do. Like
that is the complete opposite of my mom and I, who acquired the biggest Tiffany's bag our first time in New York. We just wanted a box or a bag, and of course, now having lived here, I'm like, I realize how crazy a request that is. Thank God they were nice. They went,
right,
buy something to get that, and we went, okay, well, we'll just shop around or we'll look around, because like we knew, Deanna, we weren't going to buy anything at Tiffany's.
Right.
We were waiting for the elevator at one point, and we looked over and we see this big empty Tiffany's bag, and we look at each other and we grab it. And the rest of the day, people are like, what did you buy from Tiffany's? And we were like, nothing. We just have this bag. And she still has it. And
well, I'm a little bit worried now that you've admitted this in public, that the Tiffany's cops are coming to your mom's house.
I don't care.
Put the bracelets on me.
You think handcuffs are a threat? Don't throw me a time.
All right, what is this the EST of for you?
Oh my God. This is probably the most White Russians ever drunk in a movie.
Oh, I think that's 100% true. Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely the case. This is the fuckiest movie.
Okay.
They say that I looked this up a few years ago, and it was true at the time that this movie had the word fuck in it more than any other movie in the history of cinema. Like somewhere in the neighborhood of 270 times.
Wow.
Yeah. So talk about repetition. I mean, it's this
still did it beat Wolf of Wall Street?
Let's look it up. I feel like it might still be in. Let's see. List of movies that most frequently use the word fuck. All right. Let's see. Okay. Um, so I think, wow, there are a lot of movies that have more fucks than this one. Um, but with the exception of one, two, all of them, a couple, they're mostly from before the Big Lebowski. It does
Oh,
not. It does not beat Wolf of Wall Street. Wolf of Wall Street almost doubles it up.
yeah.
There's a there's a documentary called Fuck that doesn't even hold the record because there's a movie called SwearNet, the movie that has it 935 times.
Oh
The
my God.
count for the Big Lebowski is 281.
Wow.
Yeah. Um, so it's one of the fuckiest movies of all time,
It's funny.
especially for its day. Um, so yeah, it's good. I mean, it's well deployed.
Yes.
And again, it's a movie about repetition. Like these things don't sink in until you hear them a number of times, and then you realize how funny this movie is.
Also, it's just really funny to hear the word fuck.
It is. It's a good word.
Not to my family, but it's funny to me and many other people. Otherwise, they wouldn't still be putting it in movies.
Fuck, fuck, fuckity, fuck, fuck, fuck. There we go. So I think that once again we have proven my theory that everything comes back to Aaron Spelling.
Even
It's a
Big
Big
Lebowski.
Lebowski. Market 8, dude. All right. Join us here next week, Cheesemeisters, when we're doing another classic of comedy and like groundbreaking genre film. We are going to watch This Is Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
Is this the first one? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Spinal Tap is kind of the first mock documentary ever. Like it created the genre of the mockumentary.
Bless
and
it.
Yeah, and it's got a lot of improvisation, like the Chris Guest movies that follow it, and has Chris Guest. So I can't wait. I haven't watched Spinal Tap in a while. I haven't watched it nearly as much as I've watched this, but I've probably seen it 5 or 6 times, and it's pretty brilliant.
Nice.
So yeah, so join us then. Join us then, Cheesemeisters.
Yeah.
Until then,
Cheers.
cheers.